and welcome to Bruno's Corner. I'm Bruno, and today's subject of discussion is literary history. And therefore we have decided to interview two authors. In fact, we have decided to teleport Edgar Allan Poe from Romance and Jonathan Swift from the Enlightenment period to the studio with us today. So, let us see if the time machine will work, shall we? Well, it seems to be some technical problems here. Just a moment, please. Welcome to the 21st century, my friends. Please make yourself comfortable. You may be a bit confused right now, but I can assure you, you're among friends. Please introduce yourself. Jonathan, would you like to begin?
Thank you. I'm pretty confused right now. I thought I died when I was 77 in 1745. But alright then. I worked as an author in England and as a church omen. You may have read my most famous work, Gulliver's Travels. I'm quite proud of it, if I may say so.
Well, so I guess it's my turn now. My name is Edgar Allan Poe, and I was born in 1809. And I thought I died in 1849, but here I am, for some reason. Like Jonathan here, I worked as an author, but I was also a poet. I also wrote poetry, literary critics, and I was an editor as well.
So, what is your most famous work, Edgar?
Well, I don't know, but Raven was kind of my breakthrough, so I guess it's the Raven.
The Raven. We have all heard of it, haven't we? You know, it has actually become a movie. Would you like to see a part of it?
Sure, but what is a movie?
You will see. Take a look.
Magnificent! It was amazing! Wow! It was really scary in reality though. But it was really that thrilling emotion that I was aiming for in my books. Yeah.
I'm glad you liked it. Jonathan, would you like to take a look at your short film from Gulliver's Travels?
I would love to. I'm speechless.
Oh, so you liked it?
No, I did not. What have you done to my fabulous work? It was meant to be satiric, but this is just too much. You have missed the whole purpose and the whole idea.
Oh God, I'm so sorry you didn't enjoy it. Time to change the subject, I think. Well then, can you guys tell me a bit about your lives?
Good idea. Well, my father died when before I was born, and that had a bad influence upon my life, upon my childhood. And I had a wife, or actually two, to be fair. I married Stella in secret. You may have read my book about her, Letters to Stella. And yes, and then later I married another woman.
Oh,
Eventually,
how did that turn out?
my wife found out about Stella and me. And short after that, my wife died. But really, in all of my life I've had a complicated relationship towards women. And my feelings towards women have therefore become quite brutal in my books.
And how did your father's death affect your life, do you think?
During my life, I had towards humanity and saw only bad in human nature. But I guess I was not the only one. Many other authors during this period did so as well. We wanted to change the world, so I fought for liberty. This resulted in my pessimistic and satiric stories, where I often draw attention to the weakness in society. You can see this in Gulliver's Travels, I believe. Well, the book,
I'm starting to think it was a bad idea to show that clip, Jonathan. Now, Edgar, would you like to tell us about your life?
Sure. My life was quite tragic. As young, my mother died, and the Allens took me in their care. They didn't really care for me though, so I was very poor as a child, even though they were rich. And I started drinking heavily, and I soon became deaf. My luck fortunately turned when I was 26, and I married my wife, Virginia, and I got a job. Unfortunately, Virginia died when an early death. But years later, I also intended to marry my first love. However, she died before I could.
Oh no, how awful. Do you feel that affected your writing?
Yes, I dare say so. These things led me to a deep depression, and I became slightly insane, I think. So this came through in my writing quite often.
That was interesting. And you're probably right. We cannot blame your work for being happy and sane. Let us take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about your life during your centuries.
The new Fructis formula
Gives you shine and volume.
only for you.
Welcome back. So, Edgar, would you please tell us about your time?
Well, where to begin? I was not born during the French Revolution, but people were still talking about it in my early childhood. It brought poverty to my past society, so people were very lived in misery. People were moving from the countryside into the cities to find a job. And poetry became sort of a rescue in the misery. What to say more? People were still hopeful, and they fought for justice, equality and liberty. And we started writing about the nature. I mean, just look at the beautiful tree crowns and what to say, the beautiful fields, the flower fields. They're just amazing. But what is this? These beautiful shapes, the color.
What is he doing? This is just food. Would you like to continue with your story, please?
Okay, so I guess you can begin your story instead, Jonathan.
When I lived, everything was changing. Great Britain was changing from being agricultural to being an industrialized, urbanized country. God was still in focus in all discussions and discoveries, but the religion had weakened. However, that does not mean atheists were accepted. And one cause of these changes were the many philosophers and scientists during this period.
So, Jonathan, tell me about the ideas behind the Enlightenment period.
Oh yes, during the Enlightenment, everyone was seen as individuals, and we believed in John Locke's theory that everyone is born as a blank sheet of paper, and by using one's senses, one gets knowledge. An important word of this period was reason in science.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Edgar, but wasn't the Romans a reaction after the Enlightenment period?
No, you're absolutely right, Bruno. As a matter of fact, we focused on the opposite of reason, feelings. We wanted to escape the misery, so we gave place for emotions, nature, beauty, mystery, and many other things. Many like me started writing horror and fancied the debating and
You should
fiction.
not be serious.
Of course I am. In comparisons from the Enlightenment period, we had fun stories.
I should tell you one thing, that even though you think that the Enlightenment period was boring, it was not. We had stories about adventures and so on, like Gulliver's Travels.
That's odd, since you never even appreciated the nature around you. I mean, why go on an adventure if you don't? Anyway, I believe the only thing we actually have in common is our dislikes of women.
How rude.
Yeah, I believe that's the only thing we have in common.
How rude. We may not have been so crazy about the nature and the beauty, but still we passed our time by doing more important things. We began to invent and explore the world. But I do not expect you to understand that. I know that you were not interested in science. Instead of developing the world, you passed your time by digging in the past and expressing your feelings. I must say that I agree with you about our shared misogyny. That is the only thing we have in common. Women are too complicated for me. They never know what they want, and they should have their place in the home.
Indeed they are.
Hey,
But still, you have to
stop this. Can you please stop this? Women are great creators, which should be shown respect and be treated as equals. Actually, I have a little lady myself back home. However, I think we have to stop here before things heat up far too much. I hope that you'll learn something new about literary history, and I'll see you next week when we're going to teleport Marilyn Monroe and Elvis Presley to the studio for a discussion. Wonder how that will end. Well, take care and have a great weekend. Bye.